Welcome to the Legalpreneur podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Sager, founder and CEO of Legalpreneur, Inc. As a serial entrepreneur and someone that works exclusively with small business owners legally protecting their business, I'm dedicated to covering common legal issues faced by business owners, providing you with the business knowledge you need to catapult your business's growth and showing you just how some of the world's most elite entrepreneurs have handled these legal and business issues themselves. In true attorney fashion, the information in this episode is not legal advice. This is for informational purposes only, and you should always consult with your attorney before implementing any of the information in the show. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Legalpreneur podcast. I am so excited to have Julia Cipollone today. She is with Topaz and Pearl Jewelry. She makes beautiful custom jewelry. I have ordered some personally for me, and it is absolutely beautiful. I'm so excited to have her on the show because she has a wonderful story. And the thing is, she is like she's a nomad. She travels all around the US. So I'm so pumped for you to hear from her how she manages her amazing business while traveling full time. Like, she's amazing. Thank you so much, Julia, for joining us today.
Thanks for that intro, Andrea. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, me too. And we've connected because she is part of the Legalpreneur membership, and all of our phone calls, we just really vibe and chat about anything and everything. So not even always just talking legal stuff. So I was like, I got to have you on the podcast. We just have too much good stuff to talk about. So tell everybody, Julia, how did you get to where you are today? Tell everybody the rundown, give them your background, everything. Let's hear it.
Cool. Well, I never thought growing up that I would be a jewelry maker or an entrepreneur. That was totally out of the realm of possibility. I grew up, with kind of this pressure to be academic and follow that path. I went to college for marine biology. I thought that was what I was going to do. And after I graduated, or about the fourth year of college, I started realizing this really isn't what I want to do, but it was like too late to pivot and I had no idea. I went through that kind of existential crisis that I think a lot of millennials have gone through because we're thrown into these life choices so early. So I ended up working out of college for 1 year in a job that was just like soul sucking for me, but it was a great lesson. I learned a lot there, but I was just so unhappy. And I'm one of those people that I can't stomach that for very long. So I ended up deciding that I was going to travel. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't really have a plan. I just knew I couldn't be there anymore and nothing else was coming to fruition. No other job, nothing. So I decided I'm going to save up all the money that I'm making at this job and I'm just going to be by myself for a while, get rid of the societal pressures. So what I did at that time was I took a road trip around the country. This was my first real experience traveling, first experience being by myself. And looking back, it was giving me a lot of the foundation to become an entrepreneur, a lot of self-reliance and a lot of grit and hustle. And, I had to be really crafty about how I was going to make my budget last and all these things. So during that time when I was traveling was when I started to get really drawn into bead and mineral shops and the gem shops of the Southwest. And at that time, I didn't really have a plan for it, but I started buying all these beads because they just were a small souvenir. They were affordable, and I could remember all the places I had been by these really cool gemstones and beads. Then I was making the jewelry and pretty much giving it to anybody who would wear it, at that stage. So just kept refining that craft over the years. I ended up working a few other jobs, working for some startup companies, which was another great experience in terms of entrepreneurship, but still didn't really think that I could do this until I was basically met my fiance, and he has this entrepreneurship bug, and he kind of encouraged me that you can do this. And I thought, okay, I'm going to start an Etsy shop. It started as a side hustle, Etsy shop, just selling a few things here and there while I studied entrepreneurship on the side. Eventually got a job in a boutique, a really cool boutique in California where I was living at the time. And that started to change things for me because it was my exposure to how do jewelry brands market and build? What are customers buying? If I want to sell high volume, what do I need to do? So I was studying while I was building my business, and that business owner, boutique owner, actually became my first wholesale customer.
That's awesome.
And really, she's a great friend to this day. And we joke that like I was a great employee for her, but she almost like helped me out of her own business because she helped me grow. And that's the sign of a great collaborator.
Yes.
Women in business too. So after that, I started gaining more traction for wholesale. I started my own website and just started building. And then about a week before the shelter in place happened with COVID, I opened a retail location in California, like literally 1 week before. So I move into this studio. I know it was so cool. I had like a place to make all the jewelry and you could come and shop and watch me make it. It was awesome. And then, 1 week later, it was like, boom, no one's going to be coming in here for a while. So I had to pivot, and my fiance and I were just like, what are we going to do? We're living in the most expensive area of the country. He lost his job. So we were kind of in a really tough situation, and we decided that we were going to do the van life as a way to experience other areas of the country. Because we didn't know where we wanted to move to or live. We knew we didn't want to be there, but we just we didn't know, we hadn't experienced the country. So we're like, let's downsize, let's save money. And so I went from having a 300 square foot retail location and my own studio and everything to shrinking my entire life to about 80 square feet. I sold 95% of my clothes and belongings and everything. I have learned how to become just so super efficient and, maximizing every square inch, no waste, and, being I look back at my beginning and I'm like, I didn't know how much space and time and things I had.
Yes.
But so I've learned how to be small, operate small, but also been growing my revenue, which is a really cool experience. And we've been traveling now for a year in the van. We built out the entire van ourselves. We bought this as an empty cargo van and did all the construction ourselves.
Oh my gosh.
And for the people that are on video, I could give a little side to side. So there's the front. I'm sitting in what you would call like the kitchen.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
Back. There's my jewelry studio right there. You can see my little cute dog on the bed. So it took us about 7 months to do all that construction. And now my jewelry business is like full circle because the inspiration started on the road. And I never thought that I'd be back doing the road life again. But here I am and getting all this inspiration from traveling and learning all these new things. And so it's been a really, really cool, unique time to, and I'm so glad to live in this era of like, I could be a digital nomad. There's so much access to really cool things online, and it's the time to do it. It's awesome.
That is incredible. Oh my gosh. I am learning so much more about you. So one thing I want to ask really quickly is what happened with your lease? Like I assume when your retail space, you're in a lease. And I know so many people listening were in that position. What happened what was your specific situation?
Yeah, honestly, I got lucky because the people who I was renting from were very artist oriented. Mm-hmm. This was a building that housed exclusively small artists. And they understood the situation I was in. And so basically, the worst case scenario that I was looking at was having to continue paying that for a year. Mm-hmm. But basically, the agreement that we ended up coming to and I negotiated was that as soon as they filled it, I would be off the hook. And then I ended up being able to even make my case stronger when I realized that they were bringing in people to tour it, but they weren't the right fit. And I completely understand that you want the right fit in your retail location, but I came back to them and said, look, you could just wait for the perfect person in perpetuity, but I can see from my end, you've got all these people want this space, so why should I have to wait for you to find that Goldilocks person? So then they ended up agreeing. So it was honestly one of those situations where I was just dealing with really rational, good people that understood, and because they could have kept me on the hook. They could have, and they didn't. So
that's amazing. That's awesome. So how long were you on? Like, how long did you have to pay before they were like, okay, you can get out?
Yeah, I think I want to say that I was in that space without even like trying to leave for like 3 to 4 months because I didn't know what was going to happen with with everything. So I was thinking, okay, maybe things will lighten up, we'll open up, that was wishful thinking. And so then we bought the van in July, and I would say probably around June was when I started having these talks with them. And I would say probably by the end of July, I don't think I was paying anymore because they started showing it right away. And while I was still in there, so I was able to say, hey, look, you've got people. So it ended up working like seamlessly. It's one of those things like to get a little bit spiritual where it's like the universe kind of conspires in your favor. When you commit to something, I was committed to this van life thing. And, there was a lot of things, our home lease and I think we were on month to month at the time, but there was a lot of things. We had to sell our cars. We had all of these things, jobs and like strings and roots. And one by one, they started to unfold and open up.
Yeah, I love when that happens. That has happened so many times in my life. And it's like this, no doubt, was the universe. Like this is the universe literally either pushing me out or showing me, hey, it's all going to be okay. It's all working out. Mm-hmm. So I love that. Yeah. So so because you touch on the spiritual stuff and I know that you are spiritual and I know your business, I'm very curious. What about your fiance? I'm curious how y'all met. How is he spiritual? And I know this has nothing to do with the legal stuff, but this is just stuff I like to talk about because
for sure.
I mean, we all know I'm single as a Pringle, and ever since I've become even more spiritual, I'm like, how am I ever going to find somebody that matches my weirdness? So I would love to hear this from you.
Yeah, it's been an interesting unfolding because we met when I was on that road trip, actually, that first road trip by myself. I know. And the crazy thing is we're both from Ohio and we met out in California. We had a mutual friend that he was starting a business. He needed people to work there. This friend knew that I was traveling and kind of getting ready to settle, might need a job, put us together. So I started actually working for my fiance. His name's Mark. I started working for Mark's business first. Then I started dating my boss.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So when I first met him, I was very much, into like I just described, like the universe has your back type of mentality. And he was, I think, more so not focusing on his spirituality as much. And I feel like that's something that together we have strengthened because he has come over the years very far in reconnecting with his faith. He's a Christian. We were both raised Christian. Mm-hmm. And I am still exploring the balance between where Christianity and I do believe in Jesus and those things. And I also feel like there's other things at play in terms of like, there's a big universal energy that we can play with and where that plays into it. And so we're both navigating that. So I think we haven't been in step the whole time. Yeah. But we've both been open enough that we could have the discussions to say, where are you at? Where are you at? And now we're more in tune than we've ever been.
That is beautiful. Oh my gosh. I love to hear that. Like that's what I love asking these questions because first of all, people are like, why are you talking about this on a legal podcast? I'm like, hey, it is my podcast. I can talk about whatever I want. And this is one of the things that I loved about talking to you and what built trust with you, not to skip ahead to talking about Legalpreneur, but it was the fact that I saw you were offering a valuable service, but then there's this human behind it that like I would be friends with and that I totally relate to. And it's like, you're going to take care of my business like I would because I see me in you and we vibe. Yes. So that's important. Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, this is also the side of entrepreneurship that people don't normally openly talk about because I'm convinced that being an entrepreneur is essential and becoming a better entrepreneur is just being like opening that spiritual side and opening that growth side. And the more you grow, the better business owner and better entrepreneur that you become. Because that's what I like over the past, especially year, I have been growing by leaps and bounds spiritually and, personal growth wise. And I've become a better business owner because of that. And I know that before, when I was in my marriage, I was not, I mean, I was being held back in so many ways that I didn't even realize until even recently. But, and it's nothing
Mm-hmm.
against him at all. Like, we just not each other's person. And
Mm-hmm.
really, what I've found is your partner makes, it can make or break you in business. If you don't have the right partner, then you may be just, you'll be held back for a long time. That's how I was. But I love hearing
100%.
Yeah. And I love hearing about
And
this with
there
you
were
guys.
there were times where like, it's not like I've never questioned our compatibility or we see things so differently, but the grounding point that always kept me in the relationship and gave me the faith was that, can I look at last month, last year, and conclusively say that we both have grown, we both have gone deeper into our goals, we are both moving each other forward.
Yep.
And the answer was always yes.
Yep.
And he always unequivocally believed in my ability to do this when I did not.
Aww.
When I literally said, I am not capable of being a business owner. This is too overwhelming. I'm too mentally weak. I thought that at certain points. I literally thought, like, because I just did not have self-confidence, and I thought, I'm too mentally weak. I could see people like Gary Vee, Sarah Blakely. I see the way they think, and like, I don't think like that. And he would say, but you can, and this is all a process. He saw the potential in me when I didn't, and he kept pulling it out of me and helping me get through those times. And, I think if you have someone that, doesn't believe in your dream, not that has to ruin your relationship or that has to be the nail in the coffin of your business, but I can see that being so much harder because you have to already convince yourself you can do it. And so if you're trying to convince yourself and convince all these other people, it's just doubly as hard.
Yes. And the thing is, just like you said, it's all about growth. Like now, when I'm looking for, not that I'm looking for a partner, but when I have like a potential partner, the number one thing I look for is growth. It doesn't matter how great you are today or how great we are today. If we're not both focused on growth, it's going to go nowhere. So I love that.
100%.
Oh my gosh. That's so beautiful. That is so beautiful.
Thank you.
I love that. So do you guys have a wedding date?
No, we don't. We're so alternative. We're kind of secretly, but not secretly, because we tell everybody, just planning to elope when we find the right place. Probably going to do something, just the two of us, really cool.
Yeah.
I do want to have like a really cool photo shoot. I'm big into like, artistry and that. So I would do something fun, but I think we just want to spoil ourselves. I don't want the like pressure, not that there's anything wrong with a big wedding. It's pressure from me.
Yeah.
I'm not good at those planning things. It would be pressure for me. So I think we'll just plan something really cool in nature, probably.
Yeah. Okay. So back to business. I would love to sit and talk about love and relationships, but I guess we can talk a little bit more about business. So where have you found a lot of your customers? Because you're on the road and it's not like you're in one place. You can always, count on these same customers or I don't know. I love hearing how different people find their customers. So how do you find your customers?
A few main sources. In terms of social media and my own organic marketing, it's Instagram. I really have focused hard on Instagram because that's where I believe my target market is.
Yeah.
I would love to be on Facebook and TikTok and all the things, but since I'm only one person, I decided to go hard on Instagram, and that has proved to be successful for me because of the relationships I build there. So that's where the organic comes from.
And you do have beautiful, beautiful photos. Beautiful photos, by the way.
Thank you.
Y'all all go check those out.
I work with some great photographers that really help me capture my brand better than I could do myself. And so then for the paid side, it's either Google SEO, which is half organic, half paid, because I also do blogging and I try to work on the alt tags and all the SEO things that you should be doing for organic. And then I also do Facebook ads for paid, and then Etsy. Etsy is a big source of traffic for me, specifically for the custom birthstone necklaces that I do. My website gets a lot of traffic for evenly across everything. And then my Etsy is very specifically towards the custom birthstone necklaces, and that wasn't on purpose by me. I think that's what people go to Etsy for. People go to Etsy for personalized, giftable, unique things that represent them. So I have my standard line on there that's like not personalized, it's just cool jewelry, but that doesn't sell nearly as fast. People are buying the personalized items there. And then lastly, I do events when I can out of the van. I actually just did one this past weekend in Phoenix, and I let people look in the van, and I set up the tables outside, so it's a cool experience. So those when I can get into events, and then I also sell wholesale into boutiques. So that's a big source of traffic, not only because wholesale is a really important part of your business if you have a product, but also because that does drive people back. If they really love the earrings they bought at the boutique, they're going to come check out my website to see what other styles I have that maybe that shop doesn't carry.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. That's amazing. And you guys, I know I have a lot of boutiques on here, seriously, go check out her jewelry. I bought several pieces, but my favorite is the custom. That's so funny that you said that, because my favorite is the custom birthstone necklace. I got, because I was like, man, I want something like for me and the kids. And so that's what I got. I got me and the kids' birthstones on one necklace. It's beautiful. I love it. And I bought some other pieces, but that is definitely my favorite.
Yeah, those are so cool. I like that I use like the raw stones too. So they have that look that's different. They're so like, they're kind of crunchy, they're earthy, they're just different.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And I get compliments on it all the time. People, anytime I wear it, people are like, where'd you get that?
That's awesome.
Where'd you get that? I'm like, oh, it's a custom piece.
That's great. I need to give you like business cards to be slaying it out.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so let's transition into the legal stuff, because you are a Legalpreneur member. So
Yep.
I would love for you to tell the listeners a little bit more. I think you touched on it a little bit already, but why, like what made you decide to take that leap? Because it's not, I mean, especially for small business owners, we're very affordable, but at the end of the day, like most businesses don't even have a legal budget to speak of. So what made you make that leap?
So I had come across your profile and you were on my radar, and I had signed up for the Legalpreneur waitlist. It wasn't open at the time, but I thought, okay, I'm just going to get on this waitlist and I'll decide when the time comes, right? And in the meantime, I'm following you, I'm listening to your podcast, and I'm realizing how much value you bring. And then when I got that email that was, hey, you can sign up, there was still fear there because, as a tiny business, cash flow is precious. And it came more so from a place of fear within myself that I was going to make a mistake about how I spend my money. It didn't really have anything to do with the value you did or didn't bring. It was, I'm nervous because I've misspent before, getting caught up. This comes back to the spiritual and mental, having the confidence in yourself that you know how to make a good decision. So I had to have a conversation with myself and say, serious business owners, they have legal protection. And what this person is offering, while I might be slightly uncomfortable with the dollar amount that I'm seeing, if you think about it, that's a great, amazing value. It's an amazing value. And I could have someone that I can reach out to all the time. And simultaneously, right around this time, I realized that someone else had a brand with my name. And that was making me really nervous. And I didn't know my options. And I said to myself, what is it worth for you to have peace of mind, not only about this situation with your name, but about every situation going forward, to have someone in your corner for this fee, which is if you think about it, for the peace of mind is not unreasonable at all. It's amazing value. So I just had to say yes, even though I was scared. I was nervous. I'm like, I can be frugal. I'm afraid to spend money sometimes, but I had to be put my big girl pants on and be like, this is what bosses do. They invest, and you just have to have faith. And I said, you putting your personal face and brand out there really helped me to build trust, because you weren't just a faceless legal corporation. You were a person that really understands small business and has your own business. And I felt like you would understand me and my challenges.
Yeah. And you know what? We have so many clients that come to us after working with another like somebody that their dad recommended or something. They're like, they just don't have any idea or understand how I make money. And that's a huge thing that a lot of people don't realize. Not all attorneys understand small business owners, online business owners, because it's still relatively new. And this big like shift towards entrepreneurship, some attorneys are just like, and they don't take you seriously. And that's what I saw when I was at the big firm that I worked at when I first graduated from law school. They just didn't care about small businesses. They didn't take them seriously. But because I saw the need, I was like, no, somebody has to go serve these people. So I was like, bye, Felicia. I'm going to go serve these entrepreneurs myself.
Yep.
But yeah.
And I have so much respect for the idea that you came up with, because it's so, it's just such a big gap right now. And you're serving a very specific customer base who was completely unserved. And so I just admire that and respect that. It made me want to work with you more, because I love people who have good ideas and go for it, and that ingenuity.
Yes. I love that. So let's talk quickly about your business tips, because you've been in business now and you have something to share with the world. I love asking all of our guests, what is your number one business tip?
Yeah, my number one business tip is to not be afraid to collaborate and work with people who resonate with you. And we kind of touched on this, and it really rolls back to the mindset. If I was going to dig deeper into that tip, it would be work on your mindset and your confidence, because if you're operating from a place of scarcity or indecision, you're not going to make the choices that are going to progress your business. If you work on yourself and you operate from that place of power, even if you are afraid, but you act decisive and you act as if, you're going to make good decisions. And part of that is trusting other people. I used to think that I had to do everything myself, which is a fear mindset. It's a fear mindset. I don't know how to communicate with people. I can't trust them. They're not going to understand. They're not going to do it as good as me. All these fears. And there are so many amazing, capable people out there that the more I collaborate, the farther my business goes, whether it's getting help with design, photography, legal, bookkeeping. I used to think I had to do all of that, and I was so unhappy. It's like, no wonder I was overwhelmed and felt like I couldn't do it. It's because I was doing way too much. So don't be afraid to collaborate and trust yourself, kind of tie into one big tip that I would give.
I love that. And really quickly on like the mindset stuff, so I know this is a random question, so it may catch you off guard, but I'm curious, like, what mindset work have you done? Like, do you have a practice? So I'm currently going through Amanda Francis, her money mentality makeover course. I don't know if you've heard of her, but I've heard of her several times over the past few years. And then I was like, what is this all about? And so I listened to her book when I went to Mexico last year, and she is incredible. I'm like, how have I never heard of her before? And so going through her stuff, I'm like, this is amazing. Like, she's really drilling it down and really gives everybody like the right, really just, I think I really like how she gets down to the basics. But I'm curious, what have you, any programs, any people that you really like to follow? I'm just curious, like, what's your,
yeah. My first exposure to it would have been Jen Sincero with the You Are a Badass series. I'm sure probably most people already know about her. That was my first introduction and really the opening of the floodgates. Over the years, following more people like Brendan Bouchard is probably my top person that I love listening to, because he's just so incredibly inspirational. And I feel like he's speaking directly to me with the way he unfolds different issues. I work with a one-on-one coach. That was a big step that I took this year. Her name's Jessica. Her business is Every Thought Captive Coaching. She specifically works with entrepreneurs with ADHD who are also Christians. So it's a really interesting way to tie in my business and my spirituality into recognizing my own gifts. So I recommend checking her out if that speaks to you. So just kind of, those are my top three, I would say. And I would love to take a specific money course when the time is right, or when I find that right person. I feel like that would be a great thing to dive deeper into. Yeah,
I would suggest Amanda Francis. So she just did her launch. I think she only launches it once a year, but I'm going through it right now and she's dripping out all the content. So I haven't gone through the whole thing, but so far I'm like, man, this is great because we always, no matter where we are in life, we always have blocks, and just working through her material has been wonderful. But yeah, I'm glad you shared
and the
that.
other thing I would say is like, you have to, this is a little bit maybe controversial, but you have to be really protective of your energy. And if you have people in your life who are negative, naysayers, energy drains, constantly asking too much of you, not believing in you, criticizing you, you need to spend less time with those people because they're, what's the opposite of medicine? Whatever that is, they're that. They're taking your precious time, energy, and they're, you're wasting it, but with all these things that don't really matter. So you got to get laser focused on your own healing and your own growth. And those resources will naturally come and you'll just connect with people who lift you up. And but you have to not feel guilty about saying no to things that aren't pushing you forward.
Yes, I love that. Oh my gosh. Okay, Julia, please round us out and tell everybody how they can find out more about you, your jewelry, all the things.
For sure. Well, my website is topazandpearl.com, all one word. My Instagram is Topaz and Pearl Jewelry. Those are the two main places that you can find me. I do have a TikTok and Facebook, but I'm not really active on those. So I would say connect with me on Instagram and we can talk.
I love it. Thank you so, so much. And you guys, seriously, go follow her. If you're a boutique owner, go check out her wholesale stuff and start getting her material in your store because she's amazing. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Here at Legalpreneur, we're committed to providing a supportive legal community for all business owners. I know how scary the legal stuff can be. If you found this information helpful, I would be so grateful if you could share it with a fellow business owner. And quite frankly, it doesn't cost anything to rate, review, or subscribe to the show. Your support helps me reach more listeners, which allows me to support more business owners in their entrepreneurial journey. Have any questions or comments about the show? Feel free to drop me a line on Instagram. I promise I read all of the messages and comments. And if you want to be a guest on the show or know someone that would make a great guest, simply fill out our application form and a team member will reach out if we think it's a good fit. I'll see you in the next episode.